Hello everybody, welcome back to another light novel review. Today I'm talking about volume number 5 in Ryohgo Narita's light novel series, Durarara. Now in this volume, we find the dollars actually being hunted by a bicycle gang from Saitama, who say that members of the dollars went to their turf and roughed up a whole bunch of members of the biker gang. This, of course, completely catches Mikado by surprise, seeing as how he's one of the founders and he thinks he's kind of plugged into what's happening in the dollars, so he begins an investigation. We also have a couple of Russian assassins who have shown up in Ikebukuro, who seem to have a couple of different jobs, even though we're not too sure just who exactly they're working for. We have Celty, the headless bicycle rider, being hired to be a bodyguard for a girl that she can't find. And we have Shizuo and Shinra being sort of dragged into a really odd situation by a mysterious young girl. There's a whole bunch of things going on in this book, and it seems like there's a little bit of machination going on behind the scenes. And as we get towards the end of this book, we are left with a whole bunch of different storylines being left up in the air because this is a part 1 of a 2-part story. Now, I'm going to be honest, maybe because this is a part 1, this is the first time that Durarara has done this. Obviously, the other books have sort of fed off of what happened before, but it's the first time that sort of our main central conflict was in no way resolved by the end of the book. And I think for this reason, I found this one a little bit harder to get into. Initially, I just found it to be a little slow. There were a lot of introductions to new characters that I can't really say I cared about because, of course, I haven't been reading about them for the past 4 novels. There was a lot of sort of going on behind the scenes that wasn't really action per se. And even though the previous novels have done this same sort of format with the multiple storylines and then eventually kind of solving it all together at the end, I think the fact that they were all contained to only one book, it made the pacing seem really brisk. And so you never felt like you were getting overburdened with just how much was going on. This one, I did find it a little bit slow to get into. That said, when you get about 2/3 of the way through the book and things start coming together and traps that you realize have been sort of laid from the very beginning start going off, it becomes really, really engaging. Like, as I got sort of to that point in the book, that's where I thought to myself, okay, this is the Durarara that I love, this is the pacing that I love, and this is where it gets really interesting. And that's where the book really grabbed me, was sort of in that tail sort of third of the book. And at the end of the book, it's sort of interesting where it creates new cliffhangers. So you sort of see all these things that have been happening through the book, and you realize that a lot of them, as you get to the end, are traps. And those traps are sprung, and what really are the cliffhangers is, where do our characters go now? What happens to Mikado when he finds out the answers about what's going on with the dollars? What happens to Shizuo when he finally decides to confront Izaya face to face? What happens with Celty? What happens with Shinra? Who is this mysterious girl that seems to be kind of involved with everybody? Even Henri, what's going to happen to her now that it seems like all of the cogs in her sort of circle are starting to fall off the rails? Is she going to be able to hold back the spirit that possesses her, the cursed sword? And even the way she uses the cursed sword in the book, well, I won't spoil it for you, but it was pretty cool, actually. And so I think that's kind of the thing about this book, and it's kind of, I think, why I was really excited when I got sort of near the end of it, was that, to me, suddenly it seemed that characters and character traits that we have sort of seen from the very first book, suddenly we have some characters who who are being forced into a crisis of identity, who are being forced to a point where they have to decide who they are. Are they going to reject certain parts of themselves, or are they going to embrace them? And if they embrace them, just what does it mean for them as a person and as a character? And that kind of has me really excited. I mean, this felt sort of like it was beginning a shift for this series, that it was taking it potentially in a different direction than what we've had up to this point. I don't know if that's true because, of course, I haven't read anything beyond this 5th volume, but that was kind of the excitement that I had towards the end of it, that there were characters that I thought to myself, wow, this could be a huge shift for this character, and yet it still speaks to characteristics that have existed from the very beginning. In fact, it's kind of dredging up things that have been said about characters in the past that we haven't really addressed in a while. And I know maybe that sounds cryptic, and you know me, I like to leave this kind of as spoiler-free as possible, so yes, cryptic time. Overall, I enjoyed this volume. It took a while to get there. I'm going to be honest. And like I said, the pacing in the beginning I found was a little slow. I kind of thought maybe that there were too many moving parts this time, that maybe Narita had sort of pushed too much all in at once. But when you see sort of how some of it ties in together and how it's all kind of built to certain situations that this book leaves us on a cliffhanger with, it actually really works. It makes it worth it. Again, another really good volume for Durarara. I'm always surprised how well Narita can sort of set up these like different things and can set up all these varying storylines and make them make sense sort of towards the end. And like I said, in this one, instead of it being sort of a nice tight package, it actually leads to more questions, which is the cliffhangers that it leads us on. So, Volume 5 of Durarara, those are my thoughts on this volume, and gonna have to wait and see what happens in volume number 6. Yeah, I'm kind of really, I'm very interested to see what volume 6 does with where this leaves it. So I think that's probably the best sort of thumbs up I can give this, is to say that it left me wanting more. So for my next video, I'm actually going to be doing my preview of light novels that are going to be releasing in April. And then my next review video after that will be on volume number 6 of The Rising of the Shield Hero. I've actually fallen behind. Volume 7 is out. I usually at least keep ahead of the new releases, but now I've fallen behind on this one. So I'm trying to keep playing a little bit of catch up on some of the ongoing volumes of series that I have been reading. We've got a whole bunch of stuff coming out in April, so I've got to get ahead of the curve. So volume number 6 of The Rising of the Shield Hero will be my next light novel review. So hey, if you're liking the video, if you're liking what I do, don't forget to give a thumbs up to this one. If you're brand new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to check out all of my future light novel reviews. And if you want to check out some of my old reviews, I've got a link to that playlist as well. So thank you so much for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.